You're the fastest kid in your neighborhood. But that's not why you became a return specialist. You became a return specialist because you saw Deion Sanders on YouTube dance into the end zone and you were hooked. While most kids avoid contact, you run straight toward it at full speed, with no protection, no help, and no guarantee he'll get up afterward. High school is where you discover you have a gift. Not just speed, anyone can run fast. You have vision, the ability to see holes before they open, to make cuts that leave tacklers grasping air, and to turn routine returns into highlight reels. Your junior year, you returned 3 kickoffs for touchdowns. Your senior year, teams start kicking the ball out of bounds rather than let you touch it. College scouts aren't just watching, they're salivating. You're exactly what modern football needs, a game breaker who can flip field position in one play. You choose a major program that promises to showcase your abilities. Freshman year, you're immediately the starting returner. The first college return goes 95 yards for a touchdown on national television. ESPN plays it on loop. You're in the conversation for Special Teams Player of the Year as an 18-year-old. Sophomore year, you set NCAA records, most return yards in a season, most touchdowns by a return specialist. You averaged 32 yards per return, numbers that shouldn't be humanly possible. The combine is your showcase. You run a 4.3 40, post elite agility numbers, and show hands good enough to play receiver. NFL teams are intrigued by your versatility. Maybe you can return kicks and contribute on offense. Draft day arrives, and you go in the second round to a team that needs a spark in the return game. The contract is solid. Second round money with incentives based on return yards and touchdowns. You're thrilled to be in the NFL, but you have no idea what you're walking into. Training camp is an eye-opener. The first time you field a kickoff in practice, you realize everything is different. These coverage specialists are running 4.4 40s and hitting like linebackers. The collision at the end of your first return feels like a car accident. But you adjust because that's what elite athletes do. You learn to see the field differently, to make quicker decisions, to get north-south faster. By the third preseason game, you're returning kicks with confidence again. Week 1, your first NFL kickoff return is a 28-yard gain to the 45-yard line. Solid field position, no fumbles, no injuries. Everything you want from a rookie return. The coaching staff is pleased. The fans barely notice, which is perfect for a returner. Week 3, you break one. 89 yards for a touchdown, weaving through the entire coverage team like they're standing still. The stadium erupts. Your teammates mob you. SportsCenter leads with your return that night. You're the NFL Special Teams Player of the Week. But Week 5 brings you back to earth. The opposing team has studied your film. They know you like to cut left behind your wedge. They're ready for it. The kick comes down. You make a normal move, and their gunner is waiting. The hit comes from your blind side at full speed. You wake up 3 plays later with no memory of the collision. Concussion protocol. 2 weeks on the sideline. When you come back, you're not the same player. There's a hesitation now, a split second of uncertainty before you make cuts. In the return game, split seconds are the difference between touchdowns and being tackled for loss. Years 2 through 8 are about perfecting the most dangerous art form in professional sports. You become the player that special teams coordinators have nightmares about. Opposing coaches literally tell their kickers to kick the ball into the lake and make sure it sinks to the bottom. You set records that seem impossible. Most career return touchdowns in NFL history. Most in a single season. Most in a single game. You return the opening kickoff of the Super Bowl for a touchdown. The first and only time in Super Bowl history that's ever happened. By year 6, you're not just good, you're a force of nature. You hold NFL records with 20 career return touchdowns. Teams start designing entire game plans around keeping the ball away from you. You've fundamentally changed how special teams operate across the entire league. But here's the thing about being the greatest return specialist in NFL history. Nobody wants to admit that's a real position. When Hall of Fame discussions come up, you're told that return specialists don't play enough snaps, that your impact is too limited, that you need to be consistently great year in, year out, which is exactly what you've been for a decade. Your first year of Hall of Fame eligibility comes and goes. No induction. He needs more time, they say. Let other deserving candidates go first. You watch as players with lesser accomplishments at real positions get enshrined while you wait. Year 2 of eligibility, another snub. This one hurts worse because you thought this would be your year. You made the final 10, then didn't make the cut. The Hall of Fame president explains that you need to be consistently great, as if 20 return touchdowns and 4 All-Pro selections aren't consistent greatness. It destroyed me, you admit later. I cried because you realize the truth. You're being held to an impossible standard. No other position requires players to literally score touchdowns to be considered effective, but as a returner, anything less than a touchdown is seen as ordinary. You think about the other great returners who came before you. Brian Mitchell, who has 23,330 all-purpose yards, second all-time, behind only Jerry Rice, one of the greatest receivers ever. He has 19,013 return yards, nearly 8,000 more than you. But he's never even been a Hall of Fame finalist, not once in over a decade of eligibility. Billy White Shoes Johnson, who was named to the NFL's 75th anniversary team, is the only member of that team who is not in the Hall of Fame. He was an all-decade returner twice, in the 1970s and 1980s, still not in Canton. Year 3 of eligibility becomes your moment of truth. The debate about your candidacy lasts over 30 minutes in the selection room, one of the longest discussions of any finalist. Some voters argue that special teams players don't have the same number of touches as position players, but your supporters fight back. They argue that you changed the game, that teams had to completely alter their strategies because of your talent. They point out that you were a field-tilting player who influenced outcomes with limited opportunities. Finally, the votes are counted. You're in. The call comes from a Hall of Famer who drives to your house to deliver the news personally. You've become the first return specialist ever inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. At your induction ceremony, you're emotional about what this means. I always thought it was the Pro Football Hall of Fame, you say. How do you represent the Pro Football Hall of Fame when you only lean towards certain people? But even in your moment of triumph, you know the fight isn't over. You mention the other great returners who deserve recognition. Hopefully, I'm paving the way for other specialists to get the recognition they deserve. You retire after 11 seasons with records that will likely never be broken. Your jersey is retired, your Hall of Fame speech is remembered, and you're finally recognized as one of the greatest players in NFL history. But the fight for respect took everything out of you. 3 years of rejection, of being told your position didn't matter, of watching lesser players get recognized while you waited. The greatest return specialist ever had to prove that return specialists deserved Hall of Fame consideration at all. And what about the other great returners? The one with 19,013 return yards who's still waiting for his first consideration? The all-decade returners who revolutionized special teams but will never get their due? You opened the door, but it may have taken too long. That's the return specialist's reality. You can be the most exciting player on the field, the game changer who makes 60,000 people hold their breath every time you touch the ball. But you'll spend your entire career fighting for the respect that other positions take for granted. You were entertainment in its purest form. Violence and speed and impossible athleticism converging in a few seconds of chaos. And it took the Hall of Fame 57 years to admit that someone who mastered that chaos deserves to be remembered forever. The position that creates the most explosive moments in football, but the last to get the recognition it deserves. You finally broke through. The question is, will anyone follow?